Yo, what's going on today, guys? We're back here for another meta update. So our two big tournaments of the week have not concluded. Froggyx is finished and the Ursiiday is currently doing the top cut tomorrow, but however, like, the top cut is the most important information, and I basically just want to get these decks out to you and basically just give you guys what the best decks for like the first week basically are. So yeah, let's talk about the Froggyx. That deck included. So if we go to the standings, we can see here it was won by Espeon Sylveon. Shout out to Siler for actually winning. Also, screw you because you beat me in the mirror match for top 32, bro. So, still kind of salty, bro. But it is what it is, bro. As long as an Espeon won, I'm happy because Espeon is currently my favorite deck. We can look at their deck profile right now. So, they chose to run only one Eevee bag in favor of two silvers, and they are running a Mars. And, yeah, so they just have three forms of hand disruption. Silver is very broken, early, middle, and honestly, it's just broken. It's literally broken. The value of silver, not only taking away a supporter card early game like a Professor Research, which is very, like, getting rid of a Professor Research, bro, is very impactful. So that early game is broken, and just always being able to remove something that your opponent might need to win the game, very broken. Top it off with the information of revealing your opponent's hand. I'm not surprised they ran two, because I do think it's one of the best, if not the best, support card in the game that is not something like Cyrus or Professor Research. Then one giant cape, so pretty standard Espeon build. Like the flex slots, I feel like everything that is mandatory in an Espeon deck is like all of this stuff, at least one Eevee bag, and then the two silvers and something like a Mars is usually the flex slot. Because for example, the build I was running was using red card, one silver, and two Eevee bags. However, I've seen some other versions, you know, play different ratios. I've seen some with PCL. So these are really the tech slots, but I do recommend playing at least one silver and one form of hand disruption with the Mars. So you really only have like one tech option slot, but maybe you don't want the Mars, maybe you only want one silver breast, or you have two flex. It's kind of up to you. Let's check out the next deck that got second place. So second place was going to be Froggyx Higumi. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but they are playing the classic tried and true Oricorio Zora. Yeah, this honestly, the last two seasons, this kind of looks like the same thing we've been seeing. They're running two Geos. I feel like, I don't know if two Geos was staple last season, kind of forgot, but I know at least one Geo. And you know, Geo has multiple applications. You know, Zora can one-shot a 60 HP like Eevee, for example, or obviously every other like 60 HP Pokemon. It also guarantees that type-null can knock out something like a baby Pokemon like Pichu, Magby, Cleffa. Honestly, bro, it just looks like a very standard Silvally deck. I think this one's running Giant Cape. I think some run Giant Cape, so I think some don't. However, like I said, tried and true, you can't go wrong. Still one of the best decks in the format, even though, like, it's still good. There is obviously the Pichu variant also, but that does not mean the Zora variant is any less as good. It just, you know, has like different uses and applications. So Darkrai Giratina got third place, Fused Asian, so shout out to you. And I'm gonna be honest, bro, tried and true Giratina, they are not running silver. Something to note, they are running a potion, double rocky helmet, one giant cape. Besides that, it looks like an average Darktina list, and I don't know how many times we have to look at a Darktina list in a tournament at this point. So let's just move on to the next deck. Like I said, congrats to you, but at the end of the day, we've been seeing the same deck for what, like 4 seasons is it now, or is it even 5? Because I think this is what is this the 5th, or I don't even know. But anyways, we've been seeing Darktina forever. We kind of already know what it is. Here's the deck list if you do want a Darktina list. Fourth place is going to be another version of the Espeon deck, kind of running a different spin on it with the one Espeon and the one non-EX Espeon. I'm not too sure if they have two Espeons, and this is why they are running this version. However, I do like the non-EX Espeon. It is something that I'm currently running in the Ursiiday, which we will get into. And yeah, it just basically helps the bad matchups with not running it. Like I said, this one is running a PCL with two Eevee bags. They're running one silver. However, they don't have a form of hand disruption, either Mars, second silver, or a red card. And they're playing a Pokecom for that additional consistency. Because I'm going to be honest, bro, as someone who's been playing Espeon, sometimes you really just don't find the evolution you want. Because a lot of the times you do want the Espeon as the main attacker. Like, Sylveon is there, and it is still fine to attack off Sylveon. But the main powerhouse of this deck is Espeon. So sometimes you might need to find that Sylveon for the draw power to find something like a Cyrus, Sabrina, or maybe you just really need that Espeon to win the game. So we had arceus Tapu Koko being in 5th place. We have Medusa, so shout out to you for getting 4th, or was it 4th or 5th place, bro? I can't remember, bro. 5th place. Go to the deck. Yeah, it's kind of like the same ones we've been seeing. I think in the past, like, they used to play two Tapu Kokos. With the addition of elemental switch, it makes it so much more consistent and just easier to actually ramp up arceus very fast, or Zorora, because you don't have to like waste a support card. So you can use something like elemental switch and silver on the same turn, which is just way better than having to waste a supporter card for the turn as Dawn. And then you can always like Professor Research into the elemental switch as well. They have the 2 electrical cores, 1 giant cape, red card, silver, which I feel like almost like every single meta deck, bro, is really playing silver or red card. Like 90% of them. Geo, like Geo's the same thing, bro. Going first, Aurora, but be able to snipe something like a 60 HP Pokemon is very nice. Sabrina, Cyrus, tried and true. And yeah, dude, congrats, because I thought this deck was very fun last season. It's the only Oricorio deck I personally enjoy playing, just because it's fun. Let's just move on to the next deck. So next up we have Menume Fisto, I'm probably pronouncing it right, but shout out to them for getting top 8s. And we could look at their list. Honestly, classic Eevee bag. There's nothing new here. Besides that they are choosing to run a red card and Mars over something like a Mars and Giant Cape. So just try to true. Also, they're playing the new Find for Friend Eevee. Makes a lot more sense because in an Eevee box deck, you don't really care about drawing a card. You just want to find the evolutions. So yeah, just Eevee box, bro, with like 1 minor change in like the standard build that people used to play. Maybe the Giant Cape doesn't really matter anymore. Honestly, I don't know. Probably doesn't, because like stuff like Zard and like Solgaleo wasn't the most meta relevant. Actually, I don't think Solgaleo really cared about the Giant Cape. Yeah, just like, important stuff to note. We had a Guzzlord Naganadel deck able to break through. So this is the same one I've been showcasing on the channel. However, instead of 2 Celestillas and 1 Nihilego, they just have 2 Nihilgos and Celestilla. Besides that, Cyrus, Mars, Sabrina, same one that I've been talking about. I think it's a strong deck. Sometimes you do run the downside of, having only 1 Celestilla, which, can be very bad in certain situations. But I mean, I always think Naganadel Guzzlord is a very strong deck. It just kind of depends on the certain situations. And I think it's like, as long as there's not something like Buzz and you can get Naganadel pretty early. I mean, I don't really think it has like a terrible matchup. I think against Espeon, probably around like evenish. But yeah, congrats, dude, because I love this deck. I mean, people know I play this a lot in Extra Dimensional Crisis, and I'm always a fan of seeing it perform good in tournaments. Next up, we're going to look at the Crobat deck that got 11th place. So Crobat is like the thing that was hyped up the most. I think the most optimal way to play it is something like Sylveon, because like Crobat late game doesn't really do the most, dude. Like, you really want it early game, so Sylveon is going to be the fastest way to get it or get into it. So this is kind of becoming like the standard build of people just playing Crobat Sylveon with 1 Darkrai. You have stuff like Lily for the Crobat, you have stuff like Silver Red Card, and even the Giant Cape that lets your Crobat live like an additional hit in some situations, or even stuff like Darkrai. Yeah, I mean, Crobat, dude, like first turn, as soon as you can evolve it, is a very powerful card. However, the deck is just very inconsistent, and it doesn't have the best dark attackers because you have to play pure dark energy, meaning Sylveon is going to be completely useless outside of the drawing engine. So sometimes like a Crobat, it is hard for it to solo the game, and even with the combination of Darkrai, sometimes it's just not enough. However, like I said, bro, it's a very strong, like high rolling deck, and I don't think it's bad by any means, but I just don't think it's like that top tier that everybody thought it was going to be when we first saw it announced. We also have a Buzzwole, bro, who plays pretty high. So it looks like a lot of Buzzwoles are basically dropping Cortana. Cortana is nice for like stuff like Oricorio, but Pheromosa is just very strong in like a lot of the meta decks, getting the ping, having the access to double Cyrus. So this is kind of like the standard build. I mean, we've showcased like multiple Buzzwole variants in the past. Like, dude, some might take out a Rocky Helmet, play 2 Leaf Capes. Some might play 1 Leaf Cape, add another thing, like maybe like a Silver. There's just like a lot of stuff like in different ways to play Buzzwole. However, with the Rocky Helmet that I just took out, we can just put it back in. This is how this person got very high in this 300 person tournament. And I've seen a lot of other people using similar list. And I think Buzzwole, bro, it's doing the same thing Buzzwole has been doing since ED Crisis, bro. It has a bench sniper, has access to Erica, Cyrus, Lusamine, and stuff like the Leaf Cape, and it's just a deck that does everything, bro. So I think it's always going to be very consistent and just strong in Pokemon Pocket until we actually get like more good fire types, because the only fire types we really have, bro, is like Zard. You have these other like high rolling fire decks, bro, that can do good, but they're just very inconsistent. So yeah, Buzzwole's doing what Buzzwole's doing. It's not as oppressive. has a bad matchup with Espeon as well. It's kind of funny how they get cooked by both the Eevee box decks, like both Leafeon, Flareon, and then both Espeon, Sylveon. So I would used to be the king, bro. It is in a balanced spot, even if it is still like a top tier deck. Don't get me wrong. I just personally, maybe because I play Espeon, I don't think it's that bad anymore, like to play against. But yeah, congrats on you for getting top 8. It was Mozzie. Okay, now we kind of look at all the meta decks, bro. Like, let's actually just talk about some of the spicy decks, dude, that ended up making pretty good in this tournament. First one I want to look at, bro, is going to be from 12 Coco Pelli, which ended up getting top 16 with Turtonator, Typhlosion. So, I mean, they actually fought some, like, kind of like meta decks, you know. Crobat, we don't know if it's going to be like top tier, probably like high tier, maybe like high mid tier. But if beat Crobat, you beat some Silvally Oricorios. Well, I mean, beat one Crobat. Beat Sylveon Greninja, which is actually kind of surprising. Maybe they higher rolled of Kiawe, bro. Ended up beating a Guzzlord. But let's get into this deck, bro. So this deck is kind of heat, no pun intended. Turtonator, Typhlosion. I'm a big fan of seeing Typhlosion do good because it's a card I want to make do good, but it is kind of like at the moment, not the best partners. Everybody knows how strong Turtonator Kiawe is. You have stuff like red card Silver down here, just the one copy. You know, Guzma is just always powerful. You also have Mars, so you actually have triple hand disruption with the red card Mars and Silver. You have the one Lyra to be able to switch out Turtonator, bro, for free in case you need to. And Typhlosion, if you don't know, because it's not really meta relevant, basically it just burns your opponent. So it's essentially just an extra red for the turn. Could possibly turn into 40, you know, if the burn stays. But yeah, so essentially it does 80 damage and for 2 energy. And I just think it's a sick combo, and I'm very happy they were able to make top 16 because it's just a sick deck, bro. We had a Donphan, bro, so shout out to Sakino Katsu. So this is like Lucario, Donphan, and Tyrogue. I want to say this is like the most like kind of like standard builds besides like the Rampardos versions. So Donphan is a deck that I think is alright. I think it's a very mid like tier 3 deck, or maybe it's even low tier, but Donphan is very fun. You know, you have 2 stage 1, so you're lacking consistency. You do have Hiker. I personally am not a fan of Hiker because, you know, you look at your deck, you don't gain any benefits from it because then they might just like red card you or like silver. So that kind of sucks, dude. But Tyro attacks for free. You know, you set up on Donphan. You have Lucario for the extra damage. Sarah Sabrina, you have the 2 Giovannis. So the 2 Giovannis do multiple things. One, something like a Fanfi can one-shot an Eevee. Lets like Tyrogue be able to knock out baby Pokemon. And same with Virolu, obviously going second. And dude, it's just a fun deck. Not the best by any means, but it can definitely compete in the meta. Just not gonna have the easiest time compared to some other decks. Yeah, and I kind of think that does it for like Froggy X, bro. So let's just move on to Ursiiday. So Ursiiday is currently, you know, it's moving on to day 2 tomorrow, and we can go to the standings. So first off, we can just go to the metagame as well. So the most people brought Giratina, Darkrai, Buzzwole, Pheromosa, Silvally Oricorio, Crobat. As we can see here, Crobat has a pretty negative win rate in the 46%, or like under 50%, I should say. Sylveon Greninja is actually the same way, and same with Chard. So Zard has definitely fallen off, and I'm so happy, bro. Shout out to Oricorio, the bird that I hate. I kind of fuck with you now. So that is what's going on with that. Darkrai Giratina and both Buzzwole are being very dominant with over 50% win rates. We could actually see here though, bro, Espeon Sylveon was, I think, what is this, like 6th, 7th most brought deck? 57% win rate, so having the highest out of like the most played decks. The deck is kind of good, bro. The deck might be good. Eevee Box is also doing very good. I think Eevee Box actually is very well into the meta. We have stuff like Silvally Pichu also doing pretty good. Not as good as like, actually it's still like almost like the exact same as this Aurora, bro. It's actually like the same win rate. This Darkrai Silvally deck, bro, is like low-key a scam, bro. I've been seeing some people talk about that. But yeah, dude, essentially Espeon is like the best deck to come out from this meta, which is funny because everybody, including myself, has talked trash. I've already made 2 videos talking about it, bro. Love this deck. I repent for my sins of talking trash. And let's just go to the standings and like let's just kind of like look at some decks and compare them. So let's just look at all the standings first. As we scroll down, bro, the decks I'm seeing the most of are going to be stuff like Darkrai, Giratina, Buzzwole. You know, you're seeing a decent amount of like Silvally or Oricorio or just some type of Silvally deck. You know, Zorora, same thing. Yeah, there's a lot of them, bro. You have the Espeon Sylveon. Shout out to me. I'm currently in 32nd seed, so directly in the middle, bro. Yeah, 32nd. We have Sylveon Greninja. Like, you're seeing a little bit of them around, not as much. Like, dude, not anywhere close to as dominant, bro, as last season. We have a bunch of Buzzwoles down here, a couple Crobats scattered around, but I think I already said that. And then you have like there's one Zard alive. There's actually only one Zard in Top Cut, and I need like an Oricorio to straight take him out back and shoot him, bro. We don't need him to get past 64. Hand him on. I bet you were chill, dude, but unfortunately, bro, I can't run into the Zard and ruin my run. I need you to get out. I think we also have a Macargo somewhere that ended up making Top Cut, bro, or maybe it didn't. I think, let's see. Oh yeah, it got 6 wins, but it unfortunately wasn't able to make Top Cut. It was just barely out of 64. Which is just insane to me. We gotta look at the deck, bro. We gotta look at the deck. Yeah, so this is just insane to me. Like, this is just full on insane. The squirt bottle, bro, silver, it just has everything, bro. It's just insane. And only one Slugma, because it's just ride or die, bro. You get the Macargo and you win. You know what, bro? I respect it. Even though this card is a demon to run into online, because it kind of just be cooking people. But anyways, like the number 1 per 8 and 0, we can look at their Buzzwole list. So they're actually playing Cortana, which is what a lot of people so far are not. And like I said, bro, I said some people are only running 1 Leaf Cape and no other tool card. They're running a Leaf Cape. They're running a Cortana in place. They're not running something like a Mars or Red. I mean, they are running Red Card, but they're not running something like Mars and Guzma. They just have the silver. So, you know, like these are like standard stuff, bro. Like these like 6. You got these as standard, and then you got like these as kind of like flex options. You know, obviously not this, but yeah, dude, silver is broken. I'm not surprised. Like the dude Ado is running it. I'm not surprised. So shout out to Darkus, maybe, who knows. We have another Darkrai Giratina. There's the list. It looks like the exact same one. 2 potions in this one, and a silver, and a PCO. I don't remember what the other one was running, bro, but yeah. We have this another Buzzwole list. Like, we can look at it, bro. Like, we can just, yeah, see 2 Pheromoses only, like the other one, basically. We actually had a Snorlax Ho-Oh actually be able to go 6 and 2 ties, so undefeated. So as someone who likes the fatty, bro, and I was also a fatty themselves, it's kind of sick that this deck is doing good. However, it's insane that this deck is doing good for me, because I'm just thinking, bro, like, there's just so many starts you probably I don't even know, bro. Like, they're cooking. Like, they're actually just cooking. You have the Magby to charge these guys up. I kind of like only running 1 Magby, by the way, because I feel like, you know, drawing it late game sucks. And if you don't start with it, bro, it's really not that good sometimes. So I like the fact that they only have 1. I think that's cool. You know, if Komala, they'd be able to beat Oricorio. We've seen Komala do work in Darkrai Giratina in the past. Lyra to be able to swap out Silver, Cyrus, Ilima to pick up a Snorlax, or maybe even a Komala in some situations. We have 2 giant capes down here, a red card. They just have everything, bro. This deck is cooking. This is literally bird fatty Giratina, bro. I fuck with it. So shout out to Miliardo, bro. I probably pronounced that wrong, bro. But insane that they ended up making it that far. Besides that, dude, it's just all the decks we've been seeing. The decks that are interesting, that there is one, I gotta find it because I know it made Top Cut. It's just where did it make Top Cut? It's going to be actually like a Flareon deck. It's this one right here. This deck is very cool by Harian. I hope I pronounced that right, dude. But they're actually playing Magby, double Flareon, bro, with Sylveon, and like Pichu doesn't really matter because, you know, for this you only need 1 fire, so you just burn pure fire, and then this, you know, you get the fire anyways, like first by attaching. So once you discard, now you're kind of like chilling. So, you know, Pichu just the flex because why not, bro? Maybe they just like Pichu. I think so. This is kind of like the 3rd version of an Eevee box deck. You know, we had the OG, which is Leafeon, Flareon. We had then Flareon, or not Flareon, but we had Espeon, Sylveon. Now we have like this Magby, just pure Flareon. You know, the Sylveon is just there for the drawing. I think it's cool, bro. As someone who's just a big Eevee fan, bro, I think this is just a cool deck to come out of this meta. And it's doing good. We can see what they beat. They beat Crobat, Sylveon. They beat Buzzwole. They did lose the Buzzwole. Buzzwole is still Buzzwole, and they lost to a Guzzlord, which maybe they got grind corded, but they also beat like a Guzzlord down here. They kind of just beat everything. I saw this earlier, bro. I don't know how they beat this Zard. I just don't know how they beat this Zard. I just don't know. I'm gonna just say it. They god rolled, bro. They literally just god rolled. But yeah. So for the standings, dude, from the best decks we could see, we could go back. Darkrai Giratina is the GOAT. We have stuff like Buzzwole. And what is the other one, bro? I'm forgetting, bro. Silvally Oricorio, whether that be Pichu / Aurora. One of those are really good. Espeon is probably like right under those, very performing very strongly. Then under that we have stuff like Crobats. We have stuff like these like off meta decks, and yeah, so that's basically the meta report. These are like the best of the best deck lists. Actually, I didn't talk about a Sylveon Greninja list, but it's the same Sylveon Greninja stuff. I can just look at this one. Monado ended up getting top cut as well in Ursies. And it's the same thing as last season, bro, but instead they're playing 2 silvers, which is just disgusting, instead of 2 Cyruses. Actually just disgusting. But you know, Sylveon Greninja, you could basically have these, play the rest how you want. And yeah, dude, I think that does it for the Ursi stuff. I just think that does it for the meta report. These are like the best of the best. Stuff like Zard and Solgaleo is being way less meta relevant because Oricorio is very powerful. Espeon is here. I hope you guys enjoyed this, bro. Let me know which decks that I showcased are your favorite, because personally I think besides Espeon, because that's personal bias, I think I really fucked with the Typhlosion, not Typhlosion, the Turtonator. No, yeah, Turtonator Typhlosion, bro. Anyways, let me know how I did in the video. Peace out, have a lovely day, and hope you guys have a good day. I just said that, bro. I can't speak, bro. I'm washed.